Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Oni.
I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you good.
Okay. Thank you for joining us today for our interview about your career as in recognition of International Women's Day. So in this session, I'll just be asking you questions about like your work, what challenges you faced, and like what advice you'd give to young people coming into a career in banking. So to start off, could you give us like your job title and just describe the roles that you have and what you do?
Okay, thank you, Oni. Lovely to meet with you. So I'm Catherine Browning. I work for NatWest Bank and I'm the head of customer protection. I've worked for NatWest for 36 years now in lots and lots of different roles.
Oh, lovely. So you said, is it 36 years in NatWest?
Yeah,
Were you anywhere before that?
no. So my career path, I joined NatWest, what was Royal Bank of Scotland, my local branch from school. At that time, Oni, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So it wasn't like I was determined to go into banking at all. I was in fifth year at school, knew I didn't want to go to university, I knew I wanted to work, responded to an advert, a job advert from the Royal Bank, went along for the interview, and the manager who interviewed me, he was a big ambassador for the bank exams, and I thought this was a great way to work, earn a wage, earn a living, and study for professional qualification at the same time. So I got offered the job, and yeah, he was very true to his word. On the first day I started, all those years ago, he sat me down and talked to me about the banking exams, and that started off my career in banking, plus studying for what was then the MCIBS.
Okay. So what, like, you said you worked in different roles
Yeah,
in NatWest, so could you describe some of them?
sure. So I think my career path's been what I would call quite traditional of its time. So I joined branch banking. I did my initial training in my home branch, my local branch. I think what was different is after about 2 years, I then moved. So I applied for a transfer. I moved quite far away from home, flat shared. So it's a bit like being a student, but I was still, obviously working for the bank. I worked in a different location in Scotland, a completely different region for around a year. And then I went for another role, did a transfer, moved down to Edinburgh and worked there for 5 years. So in that time, those early stages of my career, I worked in different geographical locations in Scotland away from home. That gave me great experience. So although I was still in branch banking, it was different leadership. It almost felt like a different bank at that time. So got lots and lots of experience in different roles in the branches. And then I returned back up north, as we call it, and I undertook various roles, again in branch banking, but I moved into area management. So I undertook roles area manager business, which gave me good exposure to the business banking side, area manager relationship banking, which was great, and then area manager branch banking as it was then. So the bulk of my career history has been in branch banking in various roles and then leadership roles. And then about 10 years ago, I moved into a more central role, strategic role. That was the first time in probably 20 years that I had no line management experience. So that was really interesting because I was so used to being responsible for people and line managing. I did a strategic role for around a year and then moved into a risk role for a few years. That was great. And then that kind of led me on the path to the role that I'm in now, the head of customer protection. So that's a sort of whistle stop tour of 36 years of my banking career. But it has been very varied, both in terms of role and where I've been, and lots of travelling, seeing different parts of the country along the way.
Well, I love that. Would you say you have a favorite location?
Oh, definitely Edinburgh. Definitely Edinburgh. I would go back there in a heartbeat. But I also like Manchester. I've been to Manchester a lot. I really like Manchester as well. So I live in the Highlands. If I could, I would live in Edinburgh and I'd visit Manchester a lot. Yeah.
Mm. So what challenges have you faced in your career in banking?
Yeah. I think so. If we talk about the travelling, I think as a female in banking and in area manager roles, I'm sure lots and lots of people this will resonate with. I did lots and lots of travelling, so that's great. You get great experience. You meet lots of brilliant people. You see lots of the country. You visit places you would never normally go to. But travelling is a challenge. It takes you away from home. If you've got a young family, you've got caring commitments, as I have. That was hugely challenging. And I think when you're traveling, as well as the time, you're not in the business because you're away traveling. So that has been challenging at times, but lots and lots of positives. And then I think I've faced lots of challenges in my career. I guess the longer your career is, the more challenges you will come up against. But what you learn over time is that a challenge or a difficult situation is of that moment in time, and you'll always find your way through it. You'll always come out better, and you'll have learned from that experience. Probably the other challenge I would share is, I have gone forward for roles in my career and not been successful, and that's disappointing at the time, or it's a big setback and you feel really crushed. But again, time passes and you see that that was the right thing for you at that time, not to progress into that role. I wouldn't be where I am today if I had. My career would have gone in a different direction. So I think at the time, these setbacks can feel hugely challenging and you might question yourself, but you learn from these experiences, and sometimes looking back, they're what make you and contribute to you being the person you are today. Yeah.
I love that. I love that is beautiful. So what would you say is your biggest achievement in your career?
I think so. The team I lead just now is the customer protection team. I think that's been my biggest achievement, setting up that team. So initially creating it, and then growing that team. So the team is a specialist team to support vulnerable customers. They do an amazing job day in, day out. I'm very proud to lead that team. They challenge me every day in their thought process and my decisions, how we work together. Yeah, we do a great job for looking after our customers and working with colleagues throughout the bank to look after customers and our most vulnerable customers. So that's definitely what I would say is my biggest achievement, one I'm most proud of.
So would you say like your experience with branch management has helped contribute to like
Yeah.
your success in your current role because of like constantly working with people?
Yeah, so I would say my role has changed completely in every single way over those years, but it's not changed at all in terms of customer. So you're right. So customer and being there for customers, caring for customers, doing the right thing for customers, that hasn't changed in the 36 years. How I do my role, what I do, that's changed, but not that core. Looking after customers, being all about the customer, that's something that's come with me all the way through. So definitely the branch side, the customer side, the people side, that's stayed with me throughout my whole career. Yeah.
So would you say like that's like a big aspect for you in terms of working?
Yeah.
Like that's a really important aspect that working with all these people has just been like amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't a confident person when I was young. I was straight out of school. I was very polite. I didn't have, wasn't streetwise or anything. And yeah, you working with people, dealing with the public, that's a fantastic experience, and you get quite resilient as well. And I really understand frontline and the challenges that frontline teams, wherever in any retail organisation, face, and also the value you know that you add to the customer as well. Definitely.
So what's an exciting aspect of your career in banking? Like, what would you say really stands out as you've carried on?
Yeah, oh, that's a good question. So I think there's been lots and lots of things that have been exciting. There's been lots of highlights. Probably one thing that stood out is just the opportunity to do different things and have different experiences. One I would share through my work that I do just now. We, in my team, we would look after customers who've been impacted by domestic abuse. And I was invited by the charity Safe Lives, so the charity surviving economic abuse, to participate in a sort of seminar, a panel that was open to the public. And it was to share how banks can support victim survivors of domestic abuse. So it was an exciting thing to do. It was quite nerve-wracking because people can be very challenging around what banks do or don't do or can't do to support victims. So we had, we shared a bit about what my role was. Each of the panel members talked about their own experiences, and then it was just open to questions from any of the audience. So that was, again, when I talk about, I was really proud to participate in that. It was quite a nerve-wracking thing to do because you didn't know what the questions were going to be or the challenges only. But yeah, that's definitely something I was really pleased to have done during my career. Yeah.
So you had said that you had moved like from branch banking, you'd also worked within the risk department.
Yeah.
Right? So I was one of my aims in terms of my career was to go into risk. What would you say like has been was good about that time?
Yeah. So somebody once said to me, Oni, for your career, you should always, at least in one point in your career, get experience of working in risk. And I would completely agree. And I left it far too late. I should have moved and got that experience in risk at a much earlier stage, because what that shapes your thinking, your whole thought process, your problem solving, your day-to-day understanding risk governance. That's so important. So I would encourage anyone out there to look at some point in your career, probably as early as possible, moving into a risk-based role and getting that good grounding. And I think when I moved into that role, it was far more exciting and dynamic than I expected it to be, because you think risk will be quite dry. I didn't think it would suit me, but I absolutely loved it. And I felt I learned a huge amount. It was fascinating, and I can understand why people choose a career in risk. So if that's something you're looking at, I'd say yes, definitely go for it. Yeah.
So transitioning from like all your different roles, would you say that was like also a challenge, or would you say you had support from like the banks to make it easier?
Gosh, that is a really difficult question. So transitioning to different roles, I don't think that is easy. I think you have to be prepared to almost, you're starting again in maybe a new team, a team that's already established. You're coming in new, particularly if you're coming in a sort of leadership role, that can be quite difficult. You have to stay confident in yourself and what you're about, what you bring to that new role, and why you've been successful in obtaining that new role or going forward for that new role. So I would say it's difficult, but it's again a period of time and you come through it. So to stick with it and keep your confidence. Have I felt supported when I've made those transitions? Sometimes, and sometimes not. And again, it just comes back to be resilient, look after yourself. You'll find your way through. So if I think about my first move, when I left home for the first time, I moved to a city far from home. I didn't know very many people there. Did I feel supported in that work environment? Not particularly, but I got on with it. And then I moved on quite quickly. I only stayed there a year. And then that's when I moved to Edinburgh. So experiences will vary. And throughout your career, experiences will vary. But you gain something from each of them. the difficult experiences and then the easier experiences as well. Yeah.
Just another question that do you believe that like now, let's just say within like more later times that you've had more opportunities to work in different places than at the start of your career?
Yeah, yeah. So, or do I think that? So I think what it might be is as your career progresses, you become more confident, you know more about yourself, you maybe don't limit yourself so much. But definitely as I've over the years in the bank or in banking, I see more opportunities, but I don't think it wasn't that they weren't already there. I think I just became more confident at saying I'd like to work in that, or please can I be involved in that piece of work, or I'd like to take that work into my team. I just became more skilled at that. Opportunities are probably always there, particularly in the present day and age, because banking is so diverse.
Yeah.
But you have to have the confidence to go forward or put yourself out there. And sometimes that might come with age and experience. Yeah. Yeah.
So again, as you talked about how it was difficult traveling as well, how would you say you managed your personal time and your work time, like your work-life balance? Was that, I know obviously it's a challenge, but would you say as you progressed again that it became easier?
I think I just became really, really organized. Yeah, and I would use my travel time really effectively. And then I would always be very organized for what I had to achieve from that day. And then when I had to leave, to be able to travel home. And I remember at one point, my line manager said I was always the first to leave a meeting at the end of the day. And I said, well, yes, that's because I've got like a 3 hour or 4 hour drive and a family to go home to. So I'm not going to hang about at the end of the meeting. So yeah, traveling, I just organization, maximize the use of the time, and then for your own well-being, your downtime. So I love music. I do a lot of listening to music as I was traveling to switch off. So traveling can be great from that aspect as well. So do what's right for you. Yeah.
So do you have like any advice or any tips for someone who wants to enter into banking, a career into banking?
I would say it's been an amazing career for me. At every stage, you know, from those early days, I had lots of encouragement. I've learned a lot about leadership through working with different leaders. So I would encourage anyone to join, to look at all the options, keep your mind open. Don't set your sort of track too entrenched, because I probably stayed in branch banking maybe for too long now that I look back on my career. I think there's lots and lots of opportunities. There's apprenticeships now. You know, perhaps back in my day, it was more about the branch network or a central role. Now there's much more variety. My advice or guidance would always be understand what you're about and be true to yourself. So if you like problem solving, there's lots and lots of roles. If you like dealing with customers, there's lots and lots of roles. If you like to use your customer experience, there's lots and lots of roles. So yeah, to try and understand what you're about and stay true to yourself in terms of your career goals, that would always be my guidance. Never lose sight of what you're about or your values. That would be my guidance as well.
So overall, like what skills have you gained that allow you to do your job now more, let's just say effectively, more efficiently, that just lets everything flow successfully?
Wow. There's some really basic skills that I feel in my role I have and that I am about. So I would say active listening. So really listening to understand and then to provide support and help or provide direction. So that's like leadership, making sure I'm actively listening. Problem solving, I've mentioned a few times. So really understanding the problem and working with others towards solutions. I think that's a great skill. We've talked a lot recently in my team about creative thinking. So thinking differently, that's a great skill to have. And I think empathy, like really understanding other people's perspectives, working with people, bringing people along, having the patience and time to again listen. So probably for me, yeah, it's maybe quite a strange one, but that active listening and responding, that I think is a real skill. And although we're in this digital age, I still think that's a fundamental, being able to sit, whether it's on a call, on a Zoom, face to face, and being able to truly listen, understand, respond, and work with people. I think these are basic skills that have stood me in good stead over the years, Oni.
Yeah. So again, talking about COVID, did that really impact your work? Because I know everyone was impacted horribly. And
Yeah,
with all the traveling that you were doing, was it now like a drastic change, like stay at home and everything was online, talking online?
yes. Oh my goodness, yes. So I had never worked from home before. I had a base that I would always travel into. It's 15 miles from home. Um, I it changed completely. So suddenly I was all set up working from home. I'd never got set up before. And all day, every day, working from home and on Zoom. So it was completely different. And I didn't think I would ever like that because I'd never done it before. And other people maybe had. But yeah, I still predominantly work from home. I still have now there's a little bit of traveling, but nothing like before, because we don't need to travel. We can work really effectively using Zoom. So when I travel, it's not as often, and I probably really appreciate the travel now because I think, right, it's nice to get away from home. It's nice to see people face to face only. So yeah, COVID should change completely, and it changed for my whole team as well. So we kind of went through that experience together. So that was quite bonding as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. No, I can imagine obviously like moving from having to travel all the time
Yeah.
to then suddenly like, oh, you just work from home must be.
Yeah. And my
Yeah.
family went from saying, like, why are you away so much, to when are you going? Like, why are you here all the time? So
Oh,
yeah.
no, I felt that. I know that I felt that so with my
Yeah.
parents. So, yeah. But would you say like in terms of the traveling as well, I know that you don't do it as much. So would you say it has been helpful in the sense that you don't have to travel as often, but
Yeah.
obviously you don't get to interact with people as much?
So um I think I've got the balance right now. You know, it works for me. I think on Zoom you can become a bit blasé, and I think for everyone out there that is on continual Zoom meetings, it's so easy to not really be tuned in. And I think try and really concentrate on the conversation on Zoom as if your presence, you're there face to face, and make the most of that interaction. But some people that are my best working relationships, I've never met face to face only. It's just a relationship over Zoom, and that's working fine for them, and it's working fine for me. It's not affecting our relationship or what we're achieving through our work. So yeah, I think travel not so frequent now, but still as productive, if not more, by using Zoom. Yeah.
So just my last question is that how have you been able to maintain your network of people? So when I've gone to some of like the events, I know that we do talk about the importance of networking and talking to loads
Yeah.
of different people. So how have you maintained that with all the people that you interact with?
So I think just building foundations of great relationships. So that would go back to my active listening, trying to find a connection with people, understanding their perspective, and then they are a contact you have for a stakeholder that will return to you and support you when you need their help, and vice versa. So my network is extensive, internally and externally. But I'd like to think if any of my contacts, my network, was to pick up the phone or to set up a Zoom meeting and say, can you give us a bit of guidance here, or can you come and support on this project? I'd be like, yep, I'll find a way, because I know they would do that for me. So I always say, try and be proactive. Don't just be there to react with your network. Try and be proactive, even just dropping a note or a message, you know, how are things at your end? Keep that contact going, because it makes it much easier when you do need to work together, that you've not been a quiet contact and only getting in touch when you need something. It should be a two-way. And the other way I use my network is to lead me to other people that can support me or that I need help with. And I think that's a great thing to be able to do, to reach out to someone and say, do you know anyone that's an expert in this field? Or with this piece that I've got a missing piece of the jigsaw of something I'm working on, and you get that help. So yeah, don't again be afraid to make that contact, to be proactive, to ask for further contact from other experts that can support you. And I know I've said this a few times, just be yourself, always be true to yourself, because if you're genuine, people respond to that, and you're consistent in terms of how you work with people. Yeah, that's a good question.
Great. Thank you so much, Catherine, for joining us.
Thank you. They were great questions. Yeah.
No, but it was lovely hearing about your career and all that you've done. It's absolutely inspirational. And I just hope whoever is going to watch also feels as inspired as I do.
I hope so. And Oni, thank you, and good luck with your career. I know you'll be absolutely amazing. And thank you for the questions. They really got me to think. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Right.